Good day and welcome to another broadcast of Financial Intelligence. In the event that you're joining me for the first time, my name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the author of several books. I'm the best-selling author for Billionaire Codes and Managers Toolkits. Today's program comes to you with a compliment of Mega Money Media, Global Branding and Marketing, and Venture Capital Inc. Some of the concepts that we're going to be discussing today are taken directly from this book. So when you purchase this book, you will give yourself an opportunity not only to read it, but you will be working with us, and we will be able to mentor you and coach you through the entire process of learning. Branding and marketing is a necessary tool to move products, services, people, ideas, and businesses towards their corporate and financial destination. Your success in business depends on your ability to build and leverage your corporate culture to impact the lives of the internal and external customers. The intention behind the brand is what makes it stand out, and you want your brand to stand out and realize impact, influence, and lifetime customer appeal and conversion. Can you think about this? You have a brand, and your brand is able to realize impact, it's able to realize influence with the customer, and it's able to achieve lifetime customer appeal status. And in the appeal status is also able to convert your customer, convert viewership into usership for a lifetime. And this is the subject matter that we're going to be looking at today. And I believe that all of the headings, the points that we have looked at so far are exactly what you want your brand to be. You want to build your brand, and you want to build your brand with intention, and the intention of your brand must stand out. All right, and we will talk later on about the brand intention value trait. You want your brand to stand out. When your brand stands out, it is able to realize impact. It's able to realize influence. It's able to realize lifetime customer appeal and massive amount of customer conversion. Today's exercise will cover three important concepts. We will look at the brand definition, exactly what do we mean by brand and marketing. We will look at the brand definition and classification, and you need to understand the classification of your brand. We will also look at the brand intention value trait. So if you're setting up a business, it's important for you to understand how to leverage this information. Now, when you hear the term branding and marketing, what exactly comes to mind? Now, your brand can represent a product or product line. Your brand can represent a service or services. Your brand can represent a person or persons. And your brand can represent a company. Now, let's look at some example of these four concepts that I've just tabled. In the case of your brand being a product, let's look at a commodity. And a product can be gold and silver, platinum, and palladium. Now, you have a product, but it's also important to understand your product classification. And we will look at that as we go deeper into this program today. And your brand has three clear categories in which it can fall into. Now, in the case of services, let us take, for example, your brand is to provide financial intelligence, and you're using venture capital as the medium to get that information across. So a service area could be financial intelligence. Again, as the statement said above, the intention of the brand intention value trait is what will have the strongest impact on your customer. So, for example, what is the intention of financial intelligence? The intention can be to help people across the world to understand exactly what is good debt and to understand what is bad debt, to understand how the wealthy leverage debt and how the wealthy manage debt. So all four of these concepts are necessary tools in the financial world. And it's necessary because across the world, we are seeing that over 60% of the global population do not know enough about good debt cash flow. In fact, many persons are socialized into thinking that debt avoidance is the best way to be safe. While on the other side of the coin, to create wealth, it's important to understand how to create debt and how to leverage debt. So your brand intention must be clear to you as you start to look at your brand. We will discuss that further. Now, your brand can also represent a person or person. And a good example of that is the Jackson 5. The world know the Jackson 5, and they themselves became a global brand, and of course they would have achieved global impact and influenced with the world. So even as an individual, you can become a brand. Strong speakers like Robert Kiyosaki are an excellent brand, and these guys, because of the fact that they have elevated themselves to a global brand, they can literally turn things into gold by just speaking on them. Another example of a person is Les Brown. Les Brown is one of the greatest motivational speakers the world has ever known. So in terms of a person, certainly stand out. Another person as a brand can be Oprah, I believe, has a journalist. She has certainly stand out, a journalist and talk show host. So these are some of the definitions and example of branding. The next example I want to look at is the fourth one. Your brand can represent a company. And I want to talk a little bit about this. You can build your corporate culture that impacts the internal and external customers. The intention behind the brand is what makes the brand stand out and realize impact, influence, lifetime customers, impact, and conversion. And this is something that is so profound because in many cases we are seeing that companies across the world, they may be set up, but they set up with a key focus in mind, and that is to achieve the sales expectations instead of instead of attaining what we call the sales intention. So they put the sales expectations above the sales intention, and there's two qualitative difference here. Your sales expectations is largely to cash flow maximize, but the sales intention is to accomplish so much more. I will examine that a little further. We are also talking about your corporate culture. Your corporate culture, in terms of branding, is where you build into your corporate culture the elements, the distinguishable, visible characteristics that says to the internal employees and the external public that your interest in being in business is much larger than cash flow maximization. So your culture itself is built in such a way to appeal to the deeper sense of self of the entire workforce. One example that I want to give here, can you imagine being a part of a workforce, and that workforce is all about creating the environment to foster blanket self-actualization throughout that workforce? They have built a culture that literally speaks to human sustainable development. And in developing their system, their unique culture to foster blanket self-actualization, they look beyond just exposure to an academic content, but they now start to look at essential social psychological platform that can significantly impact human resource development. Your corporate culture represents all of this, and it is through the intentional design of that corporate culture that will help in fashioning what will eventually become known as your brand. And depending on how you design that brand, it will ultimately determine the impact it creates, the influence it creates, and how well it can influence the internal workforce for a lifetime and impact the external customer base for a lifetime. In terms of the company and the branding, these are important concepts to look at and to dive deep into it. Now, at Global Branding and Marketing, at Venture Capital Inc., we literally go to the ground and help you to build unique corporate culture that can make you stand out as a brand leader in the eyes of your internal customers and in the eyes of your external clientele base. Branding and marketing can give products, services, people, ideas, and businesses international reach and impact. A vital part of branding and marketing is to invest enough time, talent, resources to understand your target market, lifestyle, culture, social class, and their needs, wants, and expectations. It is only by this knowledge you can design products and services with clear intention and take informed action to realize the business, social, and economic objectives. Now, let's examine a little bit what we mean by brand classification. It's important for you to understand your brand classification. And your brand can fit into 3 categories. Your brand can either be a premium brand, a complementary brand, or a supplementary brand. And it's important for you as you set yourself up in business to make these educated and informed decisions before you actually get started in the business process. Now, whether you're producing a product, whether you're producing a service, or whether you're building an individual as a brand or a company as a brand, it's important for you to keep this at the back of your head. And that is whether or not you're producing a premium brand, a complementary brand, or a supplementary brand. Now, what exactly is a premium brand? A premium brand takes into consideration something that we mentioned earlier. It's important for you to understand lifestyle, culture, and social class, groups and reference groups. It's important for you to understand people's dreams, hopes, and aspirations. Everything, as I said here, is 101% related to social and class structure. Now, there are particular brands that are developed to reach specific demographics. And one clear example of a premium brand is in the case of, let us say, a Prado or an Infiniti. Those vehicles, because it is in most cases high cost, it is designed to appeal to a specific demographic. And there's a number of socio-psychological factors why these products may be built and targeted at these specific demographic. Now, in terms of what is known as the complementary brand, still sticking on car, you're going to find that the wider social structure in society, they're going to fit into this category, which we call the supplementary brand market. And in this market, still looking at vehicles, you're going to find that they are going to be heavy consumers of Toyota and Nissan. Why? Because, first of all, it's a vehicle. Second, it can get them from one place to the other, just like the Prado can. And third, it's more economical. So you're going to find that this social class, which is in a much larger number, a much bigger scale, they are going to fit into this category. So far you looked at the premium brand and what we call the supplementary brand. But there's another brand, and this brand, we call it the complementary brand. Now, why do we call it a complementary brand? Now, a complementary brand can be either for premium products, or it can also be for supplementary products. And a clear example that I give in my book, Manager's Toolkit, is, can you imagine that your best friend for your birthday gives you a Prado, and then he leaves the country 1 year after, gets into an accident, and became a figure of history. Now, just around this time, your vehicle encountered some degree of difficulty, and then you recognize it's going to cost you about $15,000 to rectify the problem. Now, you know, because of the high cost, you are not in a financial position of strength to replace the damaged part of that vehicle. But you were smart enough to reach out to what is known as the complementary product provider somewhere in Japan, and they were able to build that product, supply you with that product with perhaps less than 3,000 USDs. So this is a unique example of the complementary market being able to build a product that can equally work in a premium brand. Another clear example of this is that how often you go and you buy a printer or a computer, but the printer works with a specific ink, but then you do refill. Every time you do a refill, and it's a refill not using the exact model, it simply means that you are leveraging a complementary product. And it's important for you to know that as you get into business. Now, branding and marketing is so important that the failure to recognize its importance is one of the reasons why good products, services, people, ideas, and businesses fail every year across the world. Branding and marketing are the blood supply and the air supply that literally keeps the heart of your brand pumping, and it's important for you to understand branding and marketing. Now, the next lesson that we're going to look at today is understanding your brand intention value trait. Now, you're developing a brand, and we say that it is something that you must be intentional about. So when you're setting up a business that provides a product, whether that product is a Prado or a Toyota, or you're starting a business that provides services. So whether your services is management consultancy or financial intelligence, it's important to understand the value traits of your brand. It is by the design of the brand value traits of your brand that allows the public to see your brand, to understand your brand, to differentiate your brand from every other product in the market. And failing to do this, failing to up-level visibility in the minds of your target market, failing to develop the value traits of your brand is another reasons why businesses fail. Now, the understanding of the brand trait, the intention value trait, is to understand the real motive for starting the brand. Let me go back at this. Understanding the brand intention value trait is to understand the real motive for starting the brand. While cash flow maximization is important, the real motive must always look beyond cash flowing maximization. Now, the brand intention primary motive is to achieve two things: add value and fix problems. Now, is your brand designed to add value? Is your brand designed to fix problems? And to do this, it's also necessary for you to have a clear understanding of who you're targeting with your products and services. Again, it's one of the reasons why we said it's important for you to understand the lifestyle, the culture, the social class, the groups and reference groups of your specific target market. Because the only way to be strategic in building a brand to add value and fix problems is to understand, first of all, who you are targeting, and to understand the needs and wants, lifestyle, culture of that specific target group. So, in order to begin to understand this and to build a healthy, productive relationship with your intended target audience, I want to encourage you to do this. Invest your time, invest your talent, and invest your resources to understand the customer problems and the customer needs. Now, the world today is going through a crisis. We have over 80% of the global population that are feeling some degree of uncertainty, and that is because of COVID-19. Small, medium, and large-scale businesses have closed off operation. Many of them have been forced into closing off their operation based on state policies. Now, many of these small businesses also have been forced out of business because they do not have the cash flow life cycle. They do not have the preserved balance sheet, financial balance sheet that can sustain their operation for a long time. So they are going to be forced out of business. Many of these businesses also will have to create debt in order to bounce back and to stay afloat. And in the absence of accessing commercial financial sector, investment financial sector, smart capital market, they will simply go under. Now, this could be a problem that your brand is designed to fix. So whether your business is into management consultancy or you're into financial advice or financial consultancy, perhaps your brand can speak to the specific needs of businesses in this case and ensure that your brand is truly designed to add value and fix problems. This is what necessarily gives you that competitive advantage. One, to be relevant to the market needs and to appeal to the market concerns, and well placed to fix your target market needs and wants and expectations. So you need to understand these things. Now, this concept applies both to businesses and people. As I would have said earlier, you have millions of people across the world who are accustomed to working paycheck to paycheck. Many of them are worried about where the next paycheck will come from. Can your brand speak to these issues in terms of adding value and fixing problems? And this is the degree that you need to go in terms of understanding your target market needs and aligning the provision of products and services in the building and design of your brand to speak to those specific needs, wants, and expectations of your target market. Ensure that your intention matches the customer expectations. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is absolutely necessary for you to ensure that your brand intention matches the customer's expectations. And in matching the customer expectations, you also want to put yourself in a position of strength where you can also go one step further. Can you overcompensate? Can you overreach in the delivery of quality products and quality services? And I must emphasize this. Very often in business, because your central focus is cash flow maximization, sometimes you compromise in the provision of quality of products and services just to speed up the cash flowing process. And I want to say that that's something that can seriously hurt your business model. It can hurt your business model. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish in the provision of quality, in the provision of designing your brand to ensure that the value trait is optimum. You must never ever compromise on building essential, necessary, and influential value traits into your brand. Business solution alignment and ready to go above the customer expectation. Your business solution must always be aligned to the customer dreams, hopes, and aspirations. And the brand must be ready at all times to deliver above and beyond the expectations of your specific target groups. This is going to seriously set that foundation to impact the growth of your brand, the visibility of your brand, the impact of your brand, the conversion rate of your brand. Develop measurable and clear intentions for before the sale services. Now, before you make the sale, it's important for you to understand what is your before the sales intention value traits, what is your during the sales intention value traits, and what is your after the sales intention value traits. And these things, I can't emphasize them enough. There are many people that have an excellent before the sale value trait. They reach you at radio, television, social media platform, and they can inspire you into taking action. So they become specialists in making the first time sale, but in making the lifetime conversion or converting first time sales into lifetime customers is not the portfolio. And in building a successful brand, in building your brand with global relevance, these are things that you need to look at. You're not only looking at the first time sale, you're not only looking at the during the sale experience, but long after that sale would have taken place, you want to be certain that you are keeping constant contact with your specific target market. Some may say that this is likely to cost you, but in the programs that we have designed, if even it costs you, the cost is worth it all, because it is in the after sales services you're able to get customer feedback, you're able to assess customer feedback, you're able to identify for the needs of that customers, you're able to innovate new products and new services to reach the expectations of that target market. And it is because of this rapport and this open communication through after sales services that you may be able to position yourself to become the game changers, dream makers, and trendsetters long before your competition, because you're in constant contact with your existing customers and you have constant regular feedback that is taking place that allows you to make informed and educated decisions about how they assess your brand and what next steps you can take to ensure that you are in the lead role to satisfy their dreams and hopes and satisfaction, and to better subscribe to their lifestyle, culture, social class, and groups and reference groups. Now I'm going to end this program on this note, so I want you to look back at these lessons because it is very critical to business startup and existing businesses, and there's a lot of critical information for you to learn here. Now, we didn't go deep into the program, but I want to encourage you to reach out to us at Venture Capital Inc., Global Branding and Marketing, Mega Money Media. I want you to click on the link in www.megamoneygy.com and navigate the website, navigate shopping to learn about the products and services that we have available for you. Now, our mission is to position our clients, employees, and strategic partners to understand, create, and leverage passive income cash flow, build multiple streams of income, leverage smart investment strategies, and to build generational wealth. Financial intelligence goes beyond your ability to make money or maximize your disposable income. It addresses the issue of understanding the global financial system and leveraging this intelligence to create good debt cash flow, minimize existing debt financial portfolio while maximizing financial and equity capital gain. The understanding of the commercial financial sector, the investment financial sector, and smart capital market are an important body of knowledge for you to have in the global landscape of financial intelligence. I trust you would have enjoyed today's program. I want to encourage you that if you like this program and you believe that this program can bring benefit to other persons, do subscribe to this program and share this program, and do help us to grow this channel. Be blessed until the next podcast. In the event that you're joining me for the first time, my name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the author of several books. I'm the best-selling author for Billionaire Codes and Manager's Toolkit. Be blessed until the next podcast.